Thank you all, InvArch Techs, for joining me once again for another InvArch Weekly Community Call here on Friday, October 21st. We have a lot to get into, so let's just go ahead and jump right in. But first, I like to start the InvArch Weekly Community Calls always off by just kind of elaborating on something exciting that happened this week and then something exciting in .sama that happened this week. So I'll just go ahead and start doing that. First thing, personally, that was exciting. So as far as I had a really close friend of mine. He came over yesterday and just sat here and talked for a while. And I found out he's actually going to be getting a home, like relatively close in the area next to me. This is like one of my good like childhood best friends. And like mine and his kids are just as close as could be. So it was really cool figuring out that he's going to be living like literally just a few blocks away. So I'll be able to just walk over to his house and annoy him whenever I feel like it from this point. So that's really cool. And then just as far as like something that was really exciting in .sama, of course, seeing the reaction, I think, to the community's reaction to the announcement of the Tinker airdrop for UTLDAO members, especially. I think that was really cool. We had a lot of like immediate, like just people being like, yes, this is cool. So that was really exciting to see. AJ, do you have anything that you would like to add in there as well? Share with the community how your week went.
Yeah, for sure. It's getting cold up here in Canada. We're going into our winter season pretty much at some point soon. So it's definitely all about just getting prepared, getting on my winter tires on. So I guess another personal thing would be, which is like good news. My dog was kind of like limping a bit this week, so I took him to the vet. But there was no issues that can be found. There's nothing serious. So, and then immediately right after, like he's started to be more excited and like walking and running around. So, yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that your dog was all right, man. But
Thank you.
getting ready for winter in Canada, I can't even imagine because like I live in like the heartland of the United States. Like basically, if you can envision the United States on a map and you just pointed to where you thought was the center is, you'd be within like 400 miles of my house probably. So just whenever the weather gets crazy here, because I'm up at like the most northern part of Missouri, excuse me. Um, when the weather gets really crazy here, it can get really crazy very quick. Like go from within the same week being like 80 degrees to we have a blizzard by Saturday. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we never know what to expect, and this is always that time of year where it shifts dramatically. So like right now, when I woke up, it was like 40 degrees, so Fahrenheit, so it was kind of cold. And then I put on my little space heater because I'm down in my basement right now. And then on top of that, like it's gonna get up to 80, I think today. So 40-degree difference, just shoo shoo, and then back down to 40.
Right.
So, but yeah, I would mind some consistency with temperature, even if it was just cold or just warm. But it's all dramatic here.
Yeah.
But but that aside, I know everybody else. Does anybody else here really quickly want to share with the community anything exciting this week that happened to them, or maybe something exciting in .sama that they want to share?
Yes, Casey, I'll jump in there. I'm running my third case of COVID almost back to back. I haven't tasted anything in like 2 months, even coffee, lemons, chocolate, sugar.
Oh
Taste
no.
anything. But that's okay. Basically, so one of the things that I do, I'm working with Google and Amazon, a lot of the devs and coders over there, and learning more about their problems. They've recently, as you know, maybe Stadia, it collapsed, it failed. They've given up on that, but at the same time, they are starting to open up some Web3 departments at Google. A lot of people are skeptical about it. However, at the same time, a lot of people are kind of on the fence, so I'm learning a lot about their problems, their issues in that regard. I'm super excited about GitArch. I can't wait to get more alpha on this from you, from the community, and pump that out. That's me. Welcome, everybody.
Thanks, Richie. Thanks. That's great. Yeah. No. I can't believe you have COVID again. Like you literally just got over it. Not even I think a month ago. I'm so sorry to hear that, man. That's terrible. I've had it twice as well, so like I kind of know what you're going through. You've gotten it
I
now
had
more
it
than me,
once.
so uh, yeah, not being able to taste anything for months, that would suck really bad. When I had it, I didn't lose my sense of taste, but I did lose like my sense of smell for I don't know, a month or so. Like I just couldn't smell hardly anything. So I think taste would be worse though, to be fair. Um, but that out of the way. Uh, Thanks once again, Richie, for sharing that. It's really cool as well that you do work like in Google as well, and around the developers. I seen just this most recent week that Google, like you talking about them getting into crypto and like Web3 and stuff. I seen that they were going to be basically taking on Coinbase as like the crypto transactions hub of Google, essentially. So that's going to be really interesting to watch that unfold. But with that being said, we can go ahead and kind of get on into the stuff that everyone wants to talk about. So, regarding GitArch, the private beta is set to kick off sometime this coming week. I'm sure you guys can expect more information regarding that. I know everyone's wanting to know who the teams are. We haven't released the names of the teams and stuff. But just be aware that that is going to be happening. It's very, very exciting. It's also very historic because depending on how GitArch does in this private beta event for these 10 teams who have been selected, could completely signify and rectify the need for GitArch in this space. I mean, here at the team at InvArch TinkerNet, we see the need for it. We understand why it's being built. But not everybody does. Not everybody understands that, their code, for example, on GitHub is not 100% safe. It can be rugged from underneath them at any time because it's a point of centralization and they have the authority to do so. And they don't need your consent. So that's one of the things to always bear in mind as like the number one argument as to why GitArch, why is it needed. For example, we've raised the argument that, Gavin Wood has a, GitHub account. Like, God forbid they rugged his from underneath him. That would cause a huge headache for everyone in our ecosystem. Like, so much of the research and stuff based off Polkadot and like what Polkadot became was done there. So seeing the damage that could be done just off one account, one repo being rugged, it can cause a lot of damage. And you can also see, developers getting arrested for their code. So GitArch is very, very, very significant, and we hope that you guys feel the same way. We've been loving seeing all of the community's response and reactions to what we've been releasing with GitArch. I'm going to drop a little link right there. That's just to a tweet that went out this week. If you guys were paying attention, it was just a short little presentation that says everything is coming together while serving as the seamless and censorship-proof alternative to centralized Git hosting platforms. GitArch also provides intuitive enhancements for socialized collaboration, unstoppable code, decentralized governance, and open source reimagined. And you can kind of see an actual voting process going down on here if you guys watch. It's really cool. And you guys, for those of you guys who might not be developers like myself, I had to watch this several times to fully grasp what was going on there. But it's really crazy to see what GitArch is going to be capable of, as well as just arming the ecosystem with unstoppable code. And it won't even just be, service to our ecosystem. Any developer will be able to utilize this in the future. So just seeing how GitArch is going to empower people beyond just Polkadot is it's incredible. The .sam ecosystem has been wanting this. We've been needing it. And so to see this come to fruition, get this private beta event kicked off is like a dream come true for us. Really, really looking forward to what these teams are going to be able to tinker around and achieve inside there. And I hope that we'll get to share that all of that information and kind of some more alpha with you guys very, very soon, because I know you guys are craving it. You guys are ready for it. With that being said as well, if you guys are really interested in GitArch and you guys wanted to get a presentation presented to you, our founder, Dakota Barnett, is going to be presenting a technical discussion on GitArch at the Polkadot Summit at the Fort Mason Center. Let me say that correctly. Fort Mason Center in San Francisco, California, November 3rd. If you guys are able to make it, come out, show show out your support. I personally won't be able to make it there, unfortunately. I would have loved to, but just for the sake of it being a one-day event, I wasn't going to fly all the way out there and then have to immediately fly back home. So with that being said, if you guys are interested, though, of course, this presentation will be available to watch online. I hope that you guys are going to be doing that. I know I am. It's going to be really, really interesting getting to watch the community in real time, in real life, react to a technical presentation on GitArch and get some questions going there as well. Very, very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. It's less than a month away. So I know our founder is really excited for it. He was talking to me about it, and I think he has something pretty awesome planned for the presentation regarding GitArch. I think he's going to blow people away. So I hope you guys are prepared for that because it's going to be crazy. That is all of the GitArch news that we have out of the way for this week. Moving on, we have some InvArch specific related news. InvArch founder Dakota Barnett was once again hosted on the Remark Roundtable. If you guys don't know, Remark has these episodes called Remark Roundtables where they invite usually Parachain founders, but sometimes just Parachain team members, and they kind of like go back and forth. Usually it's related to NFTs and things of that nature. Recently, our founder went on it last week. If you guys missed it, I highly, highly encourage you guys to go back. So we recorded the full thing. It's available on YouTube. Dakota talked about a ton of alpha, to be fair. I was trying to take notes and catch it all, and I wasn't writing them down fast enough. I just couldn't. It was really, really cool to get to hear the guys over there as well, because if you guys don't know, Credit Card Scissors, we're fans of his and the videos that he presents. And so getting to hear them talk to us about their visions for, GitArch, Udl DAO, NFTs and just true decentralization through DAOs. It was really, really cool to get their take on everything and to kind of sit down with those guys once more and really get their vision for DAOs as well. And I would say that's one of the things that's very unique here. And I might be coming from a biased standpoint, but I think AJ can back me up here as well on this. Coming from a member of the team, our founders are very much open-minded, I would guess is the best way to say it. Even if it's something that they're not supportive of themselves, if the community is no, this is the way to go. And they try to explain why they think that that's wrong. And after a solid explanation, the community is still no, this is the way to go. That's the way that they're going to lean. And that's just the way that they've done things. It's been really, really cool seeing this all come to fruition. For example, with there's been a ton of stuff regarding Udl DAO coming from the team member side of things that there's been a lot of back and forth over a lot of the stuff with Udl DAO. But I can promise you this: basically everyone who's been a part of Udl DAO so far has been very, very thankful. It's been a very rewarding experience, and it's not even let up yet. We'll get more into Udl DAO here in just a little bit. But just bringing that back up, if you guys missed it, I do highly, highly recommend that you guys do go back and check it out because it was a great, great episode of the Remark Roundtable. With that being said as well, it's worth mentioning that the Polkadot Insider also recognized InvArch Network. Now, it is important to mention it was on October 16th that this was posted. So on October 16th, Polkadot Insider tweeted out, "Let's shout out the top projects that were performing well and bringing valuable knowledge and news to their communities on social platforms on Polkadot in the last 7 days. We provide the list of the top 10 most engaged products. Let's explore more." So number 1 was BitCountry, number 2 was BeamSwap, and number 3 was InvArch Network. So just from us to you, thank you guys for being so engaging and always having so much to talk about and always just being such a big community support. We couldn't have been one of the most engaging projects on Polkadot in the last 7 days at that time had it not been for you. And we've also been one of the most engaging projects in .sama. I think it was in the last month, just a week or two ago. We were, I believe, spot 5. So it's just really cool seeing the community recognition here as well, just getting that acknowledgement that, we have community support for what we're building. People are excited for InvArch to actually go for a parachain as well on Polkadot. I've been getting a lot of questions about that following the success of the LBP. And I totally understand. People want to know when they can get their hands on Varch tokens, when they can expect InVarch, etc. And I don't blame you. Main reason being, I think, was because, Tinkernet was not originally the plan. Kusama, we've always been fans of Kusama, but at one point it was just not the idea that we were going to need a canary network. InVarch was just going to be the catch-all be-all. And at one point, our community, ironically, we're like, hey, no, we want a Kusama chain. We think it'd be valuable. And our founders sat down and we were like, we don't think so still. And so at first it was a lot of hesitation. For a few months, actually, there was like hesitation about it. And then they were like, no. You know what? The community were like, yes, we want a Kusama chain. And if we didn't see the vision behind it then, like, we'll make a vision to support their vision for us. And so I think that's a lot of where Tinkernet kind of came into play. We've very much quickly realized, like, hey, people aren't going to want to play around with real world assets on InVarch network. They're going to want to be able to have this testnet environment. That was what Brainstorm was really cool when we first did that. For those of you guys who don't even know what that is, I highly recommend you guys go on the knowledge base, go check out the Brainstorm. When we did that whole Brainstorm workshop event and stuff, it was really cool getting to see the community actually play around and interact with that kind of stuff. Excuse me, I got to get a drink. With that being said, InVarch is definitely been picking up steam, of course. I would say in the past 2 to 3 months, the amount of followers that InVarch has been getting on like Twitter, even in our Reddit, has been going up substantially. For example, on the Reddit, I don't know if any of you guys are Reddit users. If so, you should go join us. But if not, it's totally cool. If you're a Reddit user, for example, like literally just 2 months ago, it was like less than 100 people were members of our Reddit, and now it's like over 220. And so that was a pretty big jump in just like a month. So that was really cool to see. And then as far as like Twitter's gone, like it took us a while to hit like the 10K barrier, admittedly a little bit longer than what we would have wished to have seen. But once we hit it, it's just been boom, community support out the wazoo. So it's been really great to see. InVarch has been very appreciative of all support, and really just ever since the summer when we went to these events and we got to kind of show face and really interact with members of other teams in real life, kind of build those bridges and kind of, wrap our minds around everyone's united vision for the ecosystem and answering to ourselves, how do we fit InVarch and Tinkernet into this puzzle, so to say? How do we fit it in? And I would like to think that we've tried to do it the absolute best way that we can, with the most satisfying way that we can for our community members as well. So far, knock on wood, I got a wood table underneath me. The community has been nothing but like happy so far. So very, very excited to continue moving on with InVarch. Moving on from InVarch, AJ, do you have anything that you would like to add as well, good sir, on InVarch and its progress before I move on to Tinkernet?
No, I think you've covered what needs to be covered. You can move on, sir.
Okay, sorry. I just like to always give the opportunity if anybody else wants to be like, hey. So with that being said, moving on into Tinkernet. I know kind of everybody Tinkernet's been raving. So once again, I just want to say thank you all so much. It was a very, very incredible LBP event. So as you all know, the LBP event ended on October 15th. It was actually Saturday. So this ended just after our last weekly community call, the day after, almost literally 26 hours after our community call last week. So to give you guys the full breakdown, so the Tinker LBP event has ended. The event was an absolutely smashing success, finishing with a ratio of 1 Tinker to 0.0214 KSM. This is all thanks to everybody who participated and to the amazing team at Basilisk Finance. So once again, it was absolutely incredible. To participants of the Tinkernet crowd loan, early supporters, so our earliest contributors, as you guys know, our crowd loan had tiers of during when you contributed, what you would get in reward. So you had to contribute in different tiers. So to our earliest supporters, those who contributed to our crowd loan, Tinker has become the most lucrative crowd loan in .sama history. So very, very excited to report that. it actually was just slightly more lucrative than even Mover for our earliest supporters. So if you were one of the earliest Tinkernet supporters, I hope that you're happy. We're happy, and we're glad that we could have brought this to you. To our later supporters of the Tinkernet crowd loan, Tinker has become the second most lucrative crowd loan in this ecosystem for you. And so without a doubt, we just want to say thank you all so much. And also shout out as well to Moon River, because we were inspired directly by them and how they did their crowd loan and how they turned, honestly, bounty hunters into evangelists. And it was something that hadn't been done before, and it was genuinely the most rewarding crowd loan that anyone had seen yet. So everybody was, a huge fan of them when that happened, and so we're very glad that we can provide this. That was during a bull market. We're happy we can provide basically the same metric during a bear market, and I can only imagine how well this would have gone had we have been in a bull market. But everyone has its time, and it's Tinker time. For everybody asking the big win question, the team is currently wrapping things up to get transfers enabled, which are enabled now, just so you all are aware. So cross-chain transfers are performable as well using Nova Wallet app. If you're a mobile user, you have that convenience. And Tinker is actively tradable on Basilisk Finance. Of course, it's been said before, it's been said again, and I'm going to say it again. Thank you all once again so much for contributing. You might want to hold on to your bags though. Tinker liquidity mining rewards are in the works, and staking will go live on Tinkernet in target time less than 1 month. So once again, I'm really, really excited for the staking to go live on Tinkernet. I'm really excited to see that actually come to fruition. We've been talking about it a lot. So getting to see that actually go full on into the actual production stage, seeing it be done is going to be exhilarating. AJ, regarding OSIF, I know we've talked about this a lot before. Oh, I don't know what just happened. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry. My
Yes,
Discord,
please,
my whole screen just completely went away and gave me the loading screen, so I didn't know if it disconnected me. Apologies for that, everybody. But with that being said, AJ, regarding OSIF staking, what is the thing that you're most looking forward to seeing happen on Tinkernet when staking goes live? Apart from just seeing people stake, what kind of things do you think we're going to first see? As you know, they talked about having just an initial first 10 sets to be able to stake to. So I know this is way ahead of the game right now. We're talking about ones that will be available. We don't know what's going to be available yet. So this is purely just speculation. But AJ, what are some things that you would love to be able to see, to be able to stake to as IP sets?
Well, I mean, that's a bit hard to, I guess, envision because, I'll be honest, being in the Kusama ecosystem, seeing the projects that have come out and how they've evolved over time, that being said, with time, we'll see more and more needs that need to be met in the ecosystem and therefore in Web3 and throughout the world. I definitely think that the InvArch network, which is something I do want to mention to everyone, when you hear us say the InvArch network, that includes Tinkernet, that includes UdoDAO, that includes GoodArch, but the InvArch network as a whole will really open these doors to revolutionary, groundbreaking innovations, and I personally think across industries. So that. With that, I'm not too sure specifically on what I want to look forward to, because I'm just one, for one, I'm an IP enthusiast. I love to see IP come to life, and how they're employed and how they're applied to our real world problems. But also, again, the more projects come and evolve, and the more that the needs are recognized and acknowledged, the more that we'll see these really specific and specializing IP sets, so to say, be realized. And I think that's what I'm looking for, is like really like just the entire process and journey of that, and to see all that unfold.
No, I totally get it. It's especially coming from us being team members, it's very exhilarating to seeing this all, just going from us talking about it to people being able to actually use it. So it's a big leap. One of the things that I guess, then this is probably way down the road. I'm sure this isn't going to be one of those first 10 that we see. And I've kind of talked about this a little bit in the past, so I'm gonna use it as a use case right now. Having some type of you know, decentralized education system built, and being able to stake to that, being able to support that, and having it to where it's not basically like, I'll use the United States as an example, of course, 'cause I'm an American. So Common Core is this. It's this, basically it was this universal standard that they tried to implement in education across, I think, almost every single state. Don't quote me on that, but I believe like every single state, and it was terrible, to be fair. It negatively impacted a lot of like test scores. It brought down education standards, and for kids who were naturally just excelling in what they were doing, it to be bluntly honest, it kind of dumbed things down for them. Made it to where they weren't as engaged in school because their brain didn't have to try as hard. They already understood what they were doing. And then for children who do struggle with education, if they didn't get it, unfortunately, most of the time they weren't given that extra care and that extra attention to catch back up with the rest of the class. And it's because everyone was just expected to follow this universal standard and just be able to get it. And I think it's mainly because, to be fair, the education system, the way that the public school system works, is it's to make workers. It's not to get people to be wealthy. It's not to teach your kids how to do taxes the right way. It's to teach them discipline and how do I wake up 5 days a week and go to a job. It ingrains that into them, similar to, going to school 5 days a week. And then, the other craziest part I would say about our education system is it's all based on the individual. And if you go to any job in the world, almost everything is team-based. So we go from an environment where we're taught that we are supposed to be an individual. We work by ourselves. We do everything by ourselves. You can't rely on other people because that's cheating. You go from that type of environment to you're thrusted into an environment where you're expected to just know how to be on the team, be a team member, be a team player, etc. And for individuals who have never experienced that, it can be chaos. And so I would think a decentralized education system where parents, not a government, politician, or anything of that nature, parents can select the core curriculum that they think is absolutely necessary for their children to learn, to be able to be successful when they become adults, when they leave the public education system, if it would even be a public education system at that point. But having it to where the parents determine the curriculum, what their children need to know, what they need to learn, to make it to where when they actually get to that point where they are supposed to step out into life for the first time by themselves, they're not so terrified of like, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? And so I would really like to see something of that standard kind of be implemented. And then just one other one, and I have no idea how this would go about being built. It's just a dream that I have. Having an actual, we talk about governance a lot, so having some way that we could build an actual voting mechanism that's totally decentralized and transparent that, actual governments could somehow use. That way you could potentially actually restore public faith in voting and the way that things go in that nature. I would say, like, for me, I come from a very politically charged family on both sides of the aisle. And so this past few years, elections-wise in the United States, has just become more polarized and polarized and polarized. And I've had family members literally not want to be family with other people over their political ideology because they're just so, you're in this camp or you're in this camp. And I think that's ridiculous. And I think one of the ways that these governance mechanisms that I would love to see being developed, Gavin Wood kind of talked about it at Decoded with V2 governance. He was saying you could essentially stake your voting weight to certain individuals. If you're like, regarding this issue, I think you're right, so I'm going to give you some of my vote. And then on this issue, I think you're right, so I'm going to give you some of my vote. And I think that type of system makes way more sense than the system that's currently in place, where it's just you get one, but you take all of everything that you want with them, but you also get everything you don't. Because I don't think that any party is truly right or wrong in any shape or the form. They have goods and bads on both sides of them. And so I think if we just could have a lot more of an honest conversation as a society about that, sit down and realize there are pros and cons on both sides, and maybe we should just implement the pros and figure out a way to work out the cons. And I think, genuinely, I do think that society would improve tenfold if we could just have that mature conversation, sit down and get that achieved. But I think it would take transparent methods, such as, voting on a blockchain, for example, to be able to achieve such a thing. I don't think if you have people who can manipulate elections, if you have people who can manipulate votes, if you have people who are in power who can manipulate anything, unfortunately, it's likely that they will. Maybe not immediately, but if they're a human being, and human beings are naturally, they're going to do flawed things. So I'm just saying, if we could have a truly transparent and trustable way to vote, I think that would improve things tenfold. But kind of rambled on about these two mechanisms that I would love to see being built and funded. So with that being said, I will kind of move on here into my last thing. By the way, if you guys didn't notice while I was kind of rambling.
Could I please just jump in there 1 second?
Yeah, go right ahead.
That is really what I can't speak for everybody. I can only speak to for myself. But I promise you this: I am paying very, very careful attention to everything that's happening here, including the community calls. A couple of weeks ago, you had this same conversation. You talked about the decentralization of voting system and things like this. And then just a couple of days ago, I retweeted it actually. It was Alex Becker who kind of jumped on this train, who's quite a big influencer in the crypto space. And so maybe he should be listening to you. Because actually you said all of it first.
Maybe we should get together. Maybe we should get together and we could have some fun conversations.
You said it, and then you kind of apologize. Yeah, sorry for going on a tangent, for rambling. But then other people started saying this too, and it's absolutely right. I'm not from the States, I'm from the UK. We have a system in complete disarray also, a lot of instability. I can also see that. For me, it makes perfect sense. We just need to help other people see that too, the value of it.
And not to just keep dragging it on, but the other thing too that I see is as far as what we all started to hear at InvArch about was innovation. And in our country specifically, and I know I can speak for other countries when I say this as well, the two-party system, the bureaucracy, usually kills innovation. By the time they approve something better has already come along. And so it's just like, if we didn't have this back and forth, if we could actually just have the public vote on these matters, and we just kind of had politicians in a way to voice our votes, like the way that they're truly supposed to be, then I think things would run a lot faster, things would be a lot smoother, and things would be a lot more transparent. And not to mention, if a politician or anybody who is voted into a position of power, or anyone, we're talking about governance too, anyone who's given a ton of voting power and then was to abuse it, that's all public. We can all see that. So that would be instantaneous. You can't even deny it. And that's one of the things that I think would be even more beneficial, is because when you take up a camp in a politician's side, it doesn't matter whose. Politicians lie. It doesn't matter whose camp you're in. They all lie to say things to make themselves look better. It's the way that voting works. They want to look better. They need to get more votes. And so if you had a system where you could look back and see every single time transparently where they were like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and they did, and they voted against something they said they were going to, blah, 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 you could hold them totally accountable. And anybody who tries to say, oh, that's a lie, that's wrong, they would be playing ignorance. I mean, you couldn't alter it after the fact. So with that being said, thanks, Richie, once again. I greatly agree with like what you were saying is I'm not the only one in this ecosystem or even just this entire Web3 space that feels this way. And I really think radical change is being developed. I'm sure somebody's probably already in the process of like, how do I do this? And you have Giga Chad brains like Gabe with us and like Gavin Wood, Asynchronous Rob. I mean, there's no telling how soon something like that could exist, but one day, and we'll be the better for it the sooner it happens.
The possibility is there, and whether it is used or not, Web3, it's a universe that's in development. Now, this universe is being created, and it's really for us to decide. People just need to know what is possible, because I think a lot of people, they don't even imagine that that could be applied to something such as a voting system or education.
No, and that's the thing is most people don't. And I think, most people hear Web3, NFT, crypto, blockchain, and they're like, scam, I don't want to hear anymore. You're trying to take my money. And I mean, I have family. I'm like, I work in blockchain. We're not a scam. And they're still like, you know what I mean? So like, you have people who are in your own camp who are skeptical still. So, but the more that we build and the more that we prove the tech, the more that we prove its utility, the less the naysayers will be, the more people will jump on board and be like, you know what? I was wrong. This is nice. This is nice to be able to use. I love this product, etc. But with that being said, we do have another AMA in about 20 minutes. So I'm going to wrap up this last little section as quickly as possible so I can kind of give everyone a little bit of a break in between who might be going to our AMA, which I'll touch on here in just a second as well if you guys aren't familiar. So moving into the last section, UtLDAO. We are still the 4th top collection on Remark of all time, so thank you to everyone who has supported us so far, any UtLDAO ticket holders or UtLDAO members, even our visitors. You guys have been just a huge wave of support, especially during a bear market when everyone was saying NFTs are dead and all this stuff. I don't know what they're talking about because we've managed to climb our way to the 4th top collection on Remark during a bear market, so that's of all time as well. Even last week, we topped Canaria in sales on a weekly basis. That was crazy to see. And then as far as on Remark, once again, we were, I think, last week as well, we were the top collection on Remark in the last 30 days. I don't know if we still are at this moment. But as well, for those of you guys who listened in last week, there was a UtLDAO Tinkerers giveaway. So there was for 20 of our top contributors to the LBP, and it didn't matter if you contributed through BSX or Kusama, by the way, between the two pools. Our top 20 contributors were given some sweet rewards, including, so first place got a semi-custom ticket, as well as I think it was like 2 or 3 rainbow tickets. And then you had bronze tickets and rainbow tickets given away, and then just down to bronze tickets. You guys can go on our Medium and go back and find that article if you're interested in reading what the rewards were. They were pretty sweet. Moving on into the most important thing to tell you guys about regarding UtLDAO today is the UtLDAO Tinker airdrop. So for those of you guys who have been hearing us preach and harp about UtLDAO, I'll just read this article for you guys so I don't miss any of the details. So several weeks ago, the InvArch Network team, who is also behind Tinkernet and UtLDAO, announced plans for Tinker token airdrop for members of UtLDAO so that they may be fully equipped to utilize the Daoist CDK. The Daoist CDK will be a fat client launcher for DAOs and will initially launch on the Tinkernet parachain. The Daoist CDK will be a revolutionary tool that brings true Web3 governance to the masses by seamlessly integrating with Discord as a user interface for DAO members. To underscore the significance of the Daoist CDK and the role it will play in the future of the InvArch network, the team is happy to announce that 3% of the total Tinker supply will be allocated towards UtLDAO and its members. 2% of the supply will be allocated in the form of vested airdrops, and 1% of the supply will be allocated towards the UtLDAO treasury. So here are the terms and the timelines. There will be 2 distribution waves for members of the DAO. One will take place this Saturday, tomorrow, October 22nd. So if you are not in UtLDAO and you want to participate in this, you want to get some Tinker, you have to have a UDL DAO at least bronze ticket. Now, they just look bronze, they don't actually say that. So get yourself a UDL DAO ticket if you're interested in partaking in that. So the second distribution wave will take place on December 2nd, 2022. So each distribution wave will consist of 1% of the initial Tinker supply, and this is equal to 234,000 Tinker, or 117,000 Tinker over 2 separate waves. Airdrop Tinker will be vested among all recipients. Each wave will have its own 1-year vesting schedule. 10% will be unlocked and 90% vested over approximately 1 year. Vesting will be linear and by block. Treasury allocation plans. So one of the most powerful features of the DAO CDK is that DAOs will be able to manage on-chain DAO treasuries and sub-DAO sub-treasuries directly through Discord. The UDL DAO treasury currently has over 450 KSM staked on Karura, accumulated from 20% of primary market sales plus 100% of secondary market royalties, which will now be joined by an additional 117,000 Tinker. There are 2 immediate things to expect regarding these funds. 1, they will be staked as soon as the OSIF protocol goes live on Tinkernet. And 2, full control over the treasury will be transferred to the members of UDL DAO once UDLs migrates to the Tinkernet parachain. Distribution breakdowns. The following breakdowns apply to those who hold bronze tickets and or have redeemed their respective tickets for silver and gold tickets. So bronze tickets get there are 700. So 700 tickets, you get 105.2 Tinker each. There's going to be 73,640 Tinker distributed this way total. Silver, 35 tickets, they're getting 1,577.5 Tinker each, or 55,212.5 Tinker in total. And out of gold tickets, there's 25, and they're getting 4,206.7 Tinker each, or a total of 105,147.5 Tinker. These are in the waves, by the way. So, however, members of the InvArch team and its advisors will be I'm just going to restart that sentence. However, members of the InvArch team and its advisors will be foregoing 90% of their allocations, approximately 37,860.3 Tinker, and will instead distribute these funds equally amongst bronze ticket holders. This will cause the distribution to look more like so. So 159.2 Tinker each for bronze ticket holders. And then the silver and gold stays the same. So snapshots and distribution times. Snapshots will be taken at 8 p.m. UTC time, and Tinker will be distributed shortly after. If you haven't grabbed a UDL ticket, now is the time. You can stay up to date on all things UDLs by following UDL DAO on Twitter, check out the current UDLs on Singular, and keep your eyes on the custom UDL tickets. So, I will also link this article for anyone who wants to revisit this in a little bit and be like, when did they say I have to have my UDL ticket by, etc. So, there we go. Just dropped that for everyone. With that being said, I'm very excited to be giving this away to the community. Once again, our DAO supporters as well. You guys, seriously, I mean, 4th place in a bear market. Like, that's crazy. So this is our way of saying, like, thank you so much for being such big supporters. We hope this makes you all happy. It makes us happy. And once again, just to wrap this thing up really quickly, in just under 15 minutes, exactly 14 minutes away from now, UDL DAO is actually holding an AMA itself, but we're holding this in Momentum XYZ. So for those of you guys who are interested in attending, I highly, highly encourage you guys to go over there and attend. It's going to be a fun little event. I've never done an AMA inside of Momentum XYZ myself. I've kind of, flown around in there. So I'm excited to see what this is like. I just dropped a link in the community calls chat for the Momentum XYZ actual, like, where you need to go. So I hope to see you all there very soon. This has been a very, very fun community call. I'm very glad everyone showed up and showed out this morning. Once again, I would just like to thank our contributors to our crowd loan, to the LBP. Tinkernet has been doing a major success, and we have no plans of slowing down this team anytime soon, guys. So I really hope that everyone's been enjoying this. But with that being said, I'm going to give everyone a little bit of an in-between break. Go ahead and wrap up this community call, and I hope to see you guys in about 13 minutes in Momentum XYZ for the Udall DAO AMA. By the way, I didn't say who was going to be speaking. That's going to be the InvArch founder, Dakota Barnett, is going to be speaking at the Udall DAO AMA. So I hope to see all of you all there. With that being said, everyone, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Thank you all for joining me this morning. It's my favorite way to kick off the start of my weekends with you guys. I hope it's your all's favorite way too. With that being said, InvArch, I'll see you next week for another InvArch Weekly Community Call. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Take care, everyone, and we'll see you in the Udall DAO AMA on Momentum XYZ.
See you there, Udals.